Capcom are one of my favourite developers. They come up with some of the best PvE content available on the market. Their titles are stellar. You know those annoying people on Twitter who ask questions like, if you could only have one car for the rest of your life? If Capcom were the only developer you could ever have access to, I would be able to cope with that quite easily. What I can't cope with is online only pushing randoms at you and minimal game modes that don't revolve around offline or single player content. Exoprimal is one of these games, giving you a singular game mode only at the front quarter, but it is a damn good game mode. Who else has just done this? Darktide. Darktide offers no single player campaign content whatsoever, and it's a friggin' Warhammer shooter. That's a real ball dropper, if you ask me. Talking of dropping the ball, have a look at these default graphics. I can't believe how grainy it is on the buildings and the distance. This is the default. They always do this to me. I have to sit in the options, and it is process of elimination for me because I'm not the most IT literate person on earth, but I did find a sweet spot. I can't give you the gist of this PvE mode in a nutshell because there is so much going on, including full-on controlling dinosaurs that you take to the enemy team. You hear me say enemy? This is PvE/PvP. You're racing against another team through a horde mode system. So there is no hanging around, there is no patting each other on the back, it is onwards and upwards the whole time. The game's story nestles in this thing called the Leviathan, giving you like tasks. It's a bit like Hunger Games meets dinosaur arenas, and everyone's doing these trials and collecting this data. There is no point in this story where you're like, I'm on board, I'm behind all these characters, I totally understand what's going on, no point whatsoever.
It's either kill or be killed out here. Don't want to end up dino chow, do ya?
Okay, 2 minutes in and he finally decides to show us some in-game footage. Now this is not the sweet spot. I found a really nice area there. I've got it on high, but I've moved some areas onto ultra, and if you want more I will send a screen grab on the Patreon page. I have of course got access to this from Game Pass Day 1. This is available on PlayStation 5 and the other systems. All will become apparent at the end of the video why I've chosen this. Is there any single player content at all? There's none. Bar that tutorial, absolutely none. I was really secretly thinking there might be a nice chunk for people who don't want to bugger around with 3 other randoms who might let them all down at the finale, which is something that can easily happen with this game. The class system and support setup is important. We're going to get into that because it does kind of work. Now look at the change in these graphics. This is the sweet spot. That's all I got to say. Frames in the top left, little tiny illegible white figure. It comes with the game. Normally I would put my GeForce massive neon green number on, but my god does this feel fluid and natural.
Summoning pteranodons.
Now, you may have noticed Reinhardt and Tracer running around. Of course, I've got the sort of pocket launcher that Junkrat's sporting in Overwatch, and that's what this feels like. This feels like the Overwatch PvE content we never got, mixed in with a little bit of PvE, which I'll touch on in a second. It does spice things up, and it's the first time I've ever seen it sort of utilized in certainly a dinosaur horde game, but even an online co-op horde shooter like this.
Prioritize cell structure. The enemy data key has progressed.
Let me just try and explain what's going on in this particular clip. We're escorting a big cube, and the other team are doing exactly the same thing, but it's sort of shadowed in the map behind us, so to speak. They've been given a Tyrannosaurus Rex to actually control and cause complete havoc in our section of the map. The parameters of who gets the free T-Rex are not clear because I thought it was given to the losing team, but it seems to have no rhythm or rhyme at the moment. What happens to you on death? You get respawned. There is a time penalty, so a little bit like that Overwatch, get put back to the start and the whole team have to cope without you. But there is the standard revive mechanic, and it's shown by a little blue cross on map, and you've got to go up to it, commit some time. It's a nightmare. You will never really get a window big enough to bring someone back when things are kicking off. There is a mercy equivalent, and that conversation or switch out needs to be had. There should always be one in the team of 4, I feel, but I found out that some of the modules on each character can actually have a heal switched into them, so it's quite cool how you can operate out the parameters of your class type in areas.
You are completing objectives slower than the enemy team.
So this is the super interesting semi-PvP section. The other team are represented as red players, and you saw them head into the objective there. You are racing to each objective, and afterwards you're told whether you've done it quicker or slower than the opposing team. And sometimes you'll just get a flash of them having a massive nightmare in the secondary world that runs behind the one you're playing. Stay with me. What are the dinos like? Well, I'm a fan of the raptors. Well, at least their numbers anyway, and their sort of movements and animations are not terrible. This is like a Left 4 Dead bulk enemy that comes in massive hordes from multiple directions. There is a map up on the top left, so looking for those big blobs of red dots is certainly the way forward. There's paleos and carnos and triceratops, various sort of mid-tier dinos get put in, and of course Tyrannosaurus Rex and Pteranodons, which are really cool. You need to get them with range. Not everyone as a class type is equipped to deal with those. So communication is key. Once they spawn in, you've got to get rid of everything in order for the mission to move on. So clearing up a random Pteranodon that's cost you 30 seconds could put you behind in the big race. So prior to a mission, there's 3 options. It says PvP, random, or PvE. If you choose PvE, you are not put into this deathmatch mode at the end of all the stages, where your 2 boxes converge and you've got to smash the crap out of the enemy team's box, and they're trying to do the same thing to you. It's hella interesting, and I've never experienced anything like it because these moves are usually used to kill dinosaurs, and then you've got to switch them out and you turn into a third-person PvP mode. It's pretty crazy.
Dinosaur call. You are completing objectives faster than the enemy.
I knew this game was going to be very online focused and micro focused and cosmetic focused, but you never know. Titanfall 2, look at that campaign, absolutely stellar, still has a huge PvE and PvP amount of content. Are these suits, mechs, stickers and different banners and funny skins for the guns enough to make me want to pick up that pad again? No, but the gameplay is, and the amazing dinosaur action and shooting Capcom level of excellence is. And as a buddy co-op, it's absolutely perfect. 4-player slots, also empty slots made up with bots, so you're not having to pull in randoms. There's a lot of fun here. If someone mains as Reinhardt, they're going to be right at home with some of the classes and jumping and bouncing around and murdering quite literally thousands of dinosaurs in each playthrough. Just doesn't get boring.
You are completing objectives faster than the enemy. Summoning Pteranodons.
That game mode on face value may sound a bit simple, but you will have so much fun with it. You keep smiling, there's a lot of communication emojis going on, people need health, and there's panic when one of the Tyrannosaurus Rexes from the other team comes busting through. There's never really a repeat of too many situations.
Aerial transfer will be initiated.
Is this worth 50 quid over on the Sony side? Oh my god, no. There's free-to-play games out there like Apex that are absolutely stunning and will give you more hours and cost you not a single bean. 50 quid. If this was a Monster Hunter World type campaign structure and PvE content, totally. But the Game Pass thing, that is a no-brainer. This is perfect for you and your buddies. 6 quid a month. This is worth it without any of the other 250 games on that service.
Summoning Raptors.
It does really pain me to not completely sing a Capcom game's praises, but this is a strange one. Bit of an anomaly. I think it's an area that they've ventured into. Maybe they saw Anthem and thought we could thrash the pants out of that game model, and they certainly have. You've got a Still Holds Up just round the corner, Shadow of Mordor, very interesting game, and we've got the local PvP special with the fighters, Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat. That's all happening very soon. I will see you down there.
Act quickly to close the performance. Area defense.